Thanks for tuning in to The Real Deal Show, brought to you by eBodyboarding.com and Tribe Boards.
We're looking here. This is where the lens is.
Yes, dear.
You looked at the screen. You need to look there.
Hi, I'm looking at you.
All right, here we go. God. Hey, folks. It's time for The Real Deal Show, another episode. Sorry, we did have a bit of a hiatus. We were in Mexico on a family surf trip over the Thanksgiving break, and we had really no desire to create content while we were down there. We were having too much fun. So I thought, because it's been a couple of weeks now, that we would talk about the BodyboardingUS Festival that happened in November at Ocean Beach in San Diego. Now, the BodyboardingUS Festival featured a pro division for both men and women. It also had a masters division for 40 and over. It had a drop knee division. It had a junior men's and junior women's division as well. Now, this is the second time this event's taken place. The first time was back in 2019, and it was at Ocean Beach then as well. And for that event, the surf was cranking. It was well overhead, scraping the bottom of the pier. So much surf, in fact, that due to the high tide and the big swell, they actually had to postpone the start of the event because the officials' tent got flooded. In fact, they have all these electronics in the tent, scoring systems and so forth, and they had electricity. They couldn't really run the event when the ocean is rushing under their feet. So they had to wait for the tide to go out that year. So big surf. It was a big success as well. Lots of people showed up from all over the country, really, to compete in that event, including some heavy hitters like Dave Hubbard, who won both the men's pro and the drop knee divisions. So he was coming back to defend his title in 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020 with COVID. So they had to cancel the event. You can't get a permit for an event with a gathering of people when there's a pandemic on. So fortunately, obviously this year we were able to have that event again. I should say we didn't put on the event. A group of people, including Anthony Leon and Washington Teixeira, behind the scenes really organized the event. So the event was happening again. We were one of the sponsors. We provided what for the event?
Prizes and t-shirts and rash guards and whatever we could do to help.
Yeah, and we weren't the only ones. A lot of industry people in the bodyboarding world stepped up and provided, whatever they could to enhance the event. But the event featured fantastic weather. We had a Santa Ana type weather pattern, not super strong winds anyway, but warm, sunny temperatures and glassy conditions.
Yeah,
it was a beautiful weekend, right?
Yeah, it was. I'm still in my bikini, so.
There's pictures of that on the internet for those of you who want to search through Vicki's Instagram account. I have. So, yeah, I'm crazy. So, but Ocean Beach. Let's first talk about Ocean Beach, San Diego. That town, what do you think of Ocean Beach?
Gosh, it's like a different world. Kind of seedy, but kind of cool.
Well, it's an unregulated zone from what we could see. We didn't really see a whole lot of police presence down there, but mostly a peaceful gathering of a very eclectic mix of people down there. It's sort of like Santa Cruz meets Venice Beach, I guess you could say, right? It has the hippie vibe of Santa Cruz, but sort of that Wild West vibe of Venice Beach. So, it was a really interesting mix. We took our son with us. He had a great time down there with his buddy, and Joe and Kayla Grodson's son, skateboarding around the streets. They actually were busking. They were doing skateboard tricks, and they made money, right?
Yeah, they made a cardboard sign that said, "We'll kickflip for $1." And they killed it. I think they made $140 between them. So
it was great.
To this day, Kieran's like, "Can we go back to Ocean Beach? I want to busk."
And they became buddies with the Ocean Beach Surf and Skate folks that run that shop, who hooked them up with some good deals, and it was just an awesome weekend for the kids too. So anyway, we got down there Saturday morning. It was a 2-day event, and day one, what was the surf like?
Pretty epic. I think we rolled up and it was glassy and peaky, and there was some barrels and ramps, and it looked so fun. So everyone, I think, was frothing for the event, in their heat.
Yeah, we had a combo swell. So there was, smaller, way smaller than 2019, which was a good thing, actually, because 2019 it was so big that it was just mostly closeouts. You couldn't really do much. But this was smaller. I'm going to call it 3 to 4 foot faces, which was really perfect for competing in, because the heats were only 15 minutes long, right? So if it was big and you get caught inside, you're kind of screwed. You can't really get your wave count up. But in a 15-minute heat with waves in the 3 to 4 foot range, you get a wave, get back out pretty quickly, and maybe get another wave. So yeah, nice peaky conditions. But the best part was, typically here in Southern California, the wind comes onshore late morning. We have what's called a diurnal wind pattern here in California. But when we have this type of strong high pressure over us, it's glassy all day. So really gorgeous day. All the heats pretty much had glassy conditions on day one. So Vicki was competing in the women's pro. I was competing in the masters, 40 and over. I am 57, so I had a lot of younger dudes I had to compete. I think I was the oldest person in the whole contest. I'm pretty sure.
Really?
No, Tony Prince. I take that back. Sorry, Tony. You took that prize, but I was the second oldest, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, long story short, I made it through. I had one heat, I think. I made it through that heat. You as well, 1 year heat. So we both advanced to day 2. So that night, Saturday night, a lot of people went out, had dinner. Some people went and partied and had drinks and stuff. Maybe the contest was really just like a secondary thing for them. It was more about the gathering, which I'm going to do a little sidebar here. That really is kind of the crux of this event, I think. That's cool, because there's been a void of competition in Southern California for a long time, and just now in 2021, with the California Bodyboarding Alliance putting on 3 events and the BodyboardingUS Festival, competition is back, and it's really cool to see all our friends from the old days that we used to compete with in various events coming back to competition. There was a hunger, a need for that, right?
Yeah,
so
it was kind of like a boogie reunion, wasn't it?
It was a boogie reunion.
Yeah.
So, we hung out on the beach, chatted with old friends. Some of them we surf with all the time. Some we don't see much because there hasn't been contests. So it was cool to hang out with some of the faces from the past. But there were some heavy hitters this year as well. We had Dave Hubbard, who came back to defend his 2 titles. That's the men's pro and the drop knee division.
Sammy Moratino,
who is 4-time world drop knee champ and has been doing the CBA events. He came down to throw his hat in the ring. Also,
good Hawaiian
Kavika Rourke-Kamai showed up, amongst many other young Hawaiians. There was a big crew, and Chandler Mahelani showed up for the women's division as well. So really an eclectic mix. And some of California's best, we had Lisa Gonzalez as well as Tara Parsons, who's been killing it on the CBA events and has been on a hot streak. So Tara showed up too. Kayla Grodzin, I mentioned her earlier. So her and Joe Grodzin were there too. So really most Scotty Plowden, some Adam Brower, some of the younger guys from California. So and you think of a guy like Craig Wetter, he couldn't make it on Saturday. I don't know why, but so he wasn't able to compete, but he was there to support Tanner McDaniel, who is one of his good friends, and Tanner was there as well. So some of the best and brightest in California and even from Hawaii and other places, guys flew in from the East Coast. We had Sebastian Kreftuck showed up. We had Tyrone Perez.
Hector from Mexico.
Hector Saracho from Cabo came up. Kenya, I don't know how to say her last name. Sorry, Kenya. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. I'll butcher it.
Yeah, I can't either.
From Kenya's from Rosarito area in northern Baja. So she came as well. So really good mix of competitors. Monica De La More. So they were all there. So anyway, day 2 dawned. Surf was pretty identical to day 1. It was bigger, glassy, maybe a touch bigger. We had a bump up in the swell from the northwest, maybe like a foot bigger. So we had more surf Sunday, and again, clean conditions. But the difference with Sunday is the wind was variable. So some heats, actually the wind came onshore and ruffled up the surf. Some heats, it would then glass off again. And the wind was all over the map. We had a south wind, we had a northwest wind. So your heats went pretty well for you. Talk about your heats.
Yeah, they did. Unfortunately, the tide really affected the conditions. So if you had high tide heats, you got better waves. If you got low tide heats, then it wasn't as good. It's more closing out. So unfortunately, my heat was like right at low tide. So I had a hard time. I think I made it through the semi-final to the final, and then the wind and tide kind of killed it, and I was just unlucky and couldn't get any waves. So that was a bummer, and that's competition, a lot of it's luck and who gets the best wave. But
so it should be mentioned that you powered through 3 rounds to get to the final. So and you had some great waves in your earlier heats. Just the final, you just weren't in the right spot or whatever. And Tara Parsons she was ripping in the final. It was a pretty clear victory, in my opinion. Second place went to, was it Lumar? Got Guitard, who's from Venezuela. And then we had Kayla Grodzin took 3rd. Vicky took 4th. In the Masters division,
how'd that go for you?
It went it went well. I think I won all my heats. I'm not sure, but anyway, I ended up winning the final. Really, for me, it was sort of reading the surf, and you had to adapt to the changing conditions. You mentioned the tide, I mentioned the wind. So I was constantly scanning the lineup before my heats to see, okay, what's the better spot to sit in? And it changed literally every heat. And, some of my strategy involves interacting with the other competitors too. Where are they? I don't want to be there, whatever. You have to deal with a lot in a competition. You have, especially with a 15-minute heat, you have 4 competitors. You have to think about, where are my competitors sitting? I don't want to be jockeying with them necessarily for waves. Where are the waves breaking? What's going to offer me the highest scoring potential? And what are the conditions? I need to adapt in the middle of the heat in some cases. So
and it was your experience. A lot of this competition comes down to experience. You've got to get 2 waves and top 2 waves.
Yep.
A lot of the inexperienced competitors go out there and they catch wave after wave after wave after wave, and might not be the best wave, but your experience, I think, and mine too, in the early heats, played a part in us, moving on up into the later heat.
Yeah, so. Ultimately, the way it works nowadays is they take your best 2 waves. So
you just got the sets.
Yeah, back in the old days, you had to get like 4. They took 4 waves. So you couldn't be picky. You had to catch 4 waves first of all in 15 minutes. But now you can literally just, if you wanted to, you could just sit out there and wait for 2 good ones. So there's a lot of different strategies. I'm not going to give up all my secrets here, because there's another contest coming up December 11th in Oceanside. That's the last CBA event of the year. Both of us will be there, and our son and his buddies are competing as well. Oceanside Pier, December 11th. So come check that out. But at any rate, I ended up taking the victory in the Masters. Super stoked. I guess I'm 2 for 2 this year, because I took a win back in April at the Master Blaster event that our friend Dave put on. It was all in fun. I don't take it super seriously. It's more, just relaxing and fun to kind of, it's, I guess, trash talk with my buddies from back in the day. Turner Harmon, you know who you are.
Dave Long.
Dave Long, you know who you are. So we had fun trash talking, and it's all in fun, whatever happens. In the pro divisions, it was a battle royale. I hate to use that hackneyed term, but it really was in the pro division. So in the end, you had Dave Hubbard. Jacob Romero was there. I mentioned him too. He did not make the final. Unfortunately, he was just in the wrong spot.
I think he got one.
Right, and he was in drop knee and pro
in his whole heat because he couldn't catch waves either.
Yeah, so he didn't make either final, unfortunately, but I don't think he was too worried. He's in town taking his wife and son to Disneyland a couple days after the event. But in any case, in the final, it was Dave Hubbard and Tanner McDaniel, Sammy Moratino. This is the pro final, not the drop knee.
Heat.
And Tanner just demolished it. I saw one wave he did 4 Rolos on, just a left that just kept peeling down the line. He just kept launching. Plenty of backflips, ARSs happening from all the competitors. In the end, Tanner took the win. In the drop knee, you had, I think, Kavika Rourkamai was in the final, and Dave and Sammy. And in that division, Sammy took the deciding victory. And Sammy was just on a tear drop knee all weekend. I mean, he was throwing these little flicky snaps on 1 foot sections that, I mean, I don't even know how he does it. The guy's like so light on his board, it's unbelievable. And you had the battle between the 2 drop knee world champions. Dave Hubbard, 8-time DK world champ, Sammy 4-time. Sort of the next generation, both from Kauai, right? So Dave's in his late 30s now, and Sammy, he's just a young gun, right? So he's kind of taken the reins. It was almost a changing of the guard there, I want to say. Although Dave is at the top of his game still, but that was a fantastic heat to watch as well. I mentioned Tara winning the women's, and then you had the junior divisions. One of the Hawaiian kids won the boys junior.
And the girls,
And the girls, there was just one girl that signed up, sadly, but she went out and gave it a crack.
Session,
So I'm stoked that she showed up and had to go at it. Hopefully more young girls will join these events. And there's more plans to run more events in 2022. So the CBA, California Bodyboarding Alliance, has plans to do more events. And we'll be back with the BodyboardingUS Festival in November of 2022. All things go as planned. So I think from Vicki and I, we just want to thank Washington and Anthony for all their hard work and everyone else behind the scenes who put that event on. I mean, the judges, think about these dudes. They're all old friends of ours.
Yeah.
I mean, they sit there for 8 hours a day and watch their friends surf good waves and have to write scores for every single wave that's ridden. That is a thankless job, man, and it's hard. We've both judged events. It's no fun. People get pissed at you if they don't make it through heats in some cases. They yell at you even. So
that happened.
It's a thankless job. And, there's people behind the scenes, tabulators. There's guys announcing. You had Steve Action Jackson on the mic the whole weekend. He's one of the top announcers in our sport. So many people came together to put the event on. It was a huge success. Everybody enjoyed themselves. There were a lot of smiles on everyone's faces at the end of the event. So, Vicki and I we had a blast that weekend. We look forward to maybe seeing some of you who live here in Southern California at the CBA event, again, December 11th, Oceanside Pier.
Yeah, come on down.
We'll be there. I'm in the Masters again. Vicki's in the women's division. This is not a pro event per se, in that there is no pro division and no prize money, but there's women's, men's, masters, juniors division. So that's more of sort of the events that they're trying to draw new competitors and old competitors back to competing.
And our son's going to do it.
Yeah, our son his first ever wave riding contest. Yeah, bring the kids.
Yeah, I think it's only $25 to enter him.
So if you want to enter, by the way, I think there's still openings. You got to download the Stacked app on your mobile device. That's STACT. So look that up, download it, and that's where you can find this event. And that's where you enter the event. It's the only way to enter the event. You can't enter it on the internet, on your computer or anything. So very modern. You got to use the Stacked app. Back in my day, we had a piece of paper. You had to fill it out, cut it out, write a check, and mail it. Imagine snail mail. Oh, my God.
But there's more information on their Facebook page. Yesterday I tried Googling it, and that's the place where you find the info on Facebook. There's
California
website. Yeah.
Bodyboarding Alliance Facebook group. So that is pretty much it. We just wanted to recap the Bodyboarding US event. Folks, thanks for watching The Real Deal Show. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a ton of Real Deal shows you can watch from back in the day. I just started the show last May, but it seems like back in the day. And we have a lot of how-to videos and stuff on our YouTube channel. I try to release these shows once a week. Doesn't always work out that way, but we're stoked that you watched this one. Give us a thumbs up, throw down some comments if you enjoyed what you watched. And if you were listening on the podcast, hope you enjoyed the listen. Really no visual elements per se to this one, so you're getting the same experience listening or watching here on YouTube, and we're stoked to have you. So for Vicki Reale and I, another Real Deal show out, and we will see you in the surf.